So we did check. He does not have a criminal history. As to he doesn't have any active warrants or anything like that. We couldn't speak about the mental health anyway. We're prohibited by law from doing that. But I will say that from what we've learned in the last few hours, it is clear to us that he did a great deal of planning. Just from the list of materials that I just laid out, it was very clear that he intended. It appears as though he intended to be prepared for a lengthy siege, if you will. So he came here prepared. It wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing from what we can see. It appears that he did a lot of time in planning and preparation and intended to harm these kids and intended to harm himself.
What else have you learned about this incident 20 years ago that may have conspired this act?
We're still looking into that. I'm not really prepared to speak on that yet. I mean, there's some things that we have to continue to investigate there.
And the total number of dead indication what it might have been? The total number of dead is what?
The total number at this present time, we have two female students, plus a student aide, which is also a younger person, someone probably around the age of 15 or 16, and the shooter. But we have 8 people currently in critical condition at the various hospitals that I outlined, and we've actually received photographs of them in the hospital. We know they're in dire condition.
So it's still 4 dead total?
Still 4 dead total, yes.
There was a DOA, you said?
I'm sorry? No, not at this time. We have, I think, all but 2 positively identified. As you can imagine, it's difficult because they're not here, and so we're having help from some of the Amish teachers to help us identify which students are where, and we're trying to coordinate with the Amish families to get them to their loved ones.
When you say dead on arrival, that's not an additional death.
Negative. That is someone who was transported. There were 9 people transported from the scene this morning, and one of them ended up being one of the dead that I've outlined, and that person was dead on arrival at Lancaster General Hospital.
Colonel,
Commissioner, can you go back to
you can't talk about the revenge or something that happened 20 years ago, but can you tell us that whatever happened 20 years ago, did it have to do with the Amish community? Was he seeking revenge on the Amish?
No, as far as I know, it had nothing to do with the Amish community, and I don't believe that he was seeking revenge on the Amish. As I think I stated before, again, I mean, based on what we know, it appears that this was more. This location was probably picked because he lives close by, and it was a target of opportunity. It was a place where he could locate victims, it appears to us, in the age group that he was looking at. I mean, he let the males go, he focused on the females, and again, we're talking about 11 children between the age of 6 and 13. And so it has something to do with that, we believe.
Can you give us any idea of why female children?
Again, I can't, other than to say we believe it may have something to do with this issue 20 years ago in his life. I mean, the information that we have right now on what he was doing in the days leading up to this, you know, it seems to us that he may have made a decision to do this within the last few days and seemed to be relieved of some of the pressure that he was exhibiting to some coworkers. So again, it was a planned event. I mean, he obviously, I mean, I can tell you, when he barricaded these doors, apparently he took the 2x6 and 2x4s and he nailed them into the door, and then he used flex ties to flex the door shut. So there was practically no way we could get in quickly through any of the doors. I mean, he had taken extreme measures to fortify this location, and it seems to us that perhaps he was preparing for a lengthy siege, and I don't know what changed, but obviously he changed.
But you can't give us any insight as to why young girls only?
I can't right now, I'm sorry.
Commissioner, can you go back to the timeline of your officers and their desperation to get in there and help, the timeline in terms of your negotiator trying to reach him, and what played out and how desperate they were to get in there and how difficult it was?
Well, we got the call at 10:36 hours, and our people were here 9 minutes later at 10:45, and they immediately established a perimeter and tried to hail the suspect by using the PA in the car. It was a certain negotiator that tried to do that. He wasn't getting any response from within the school. We continued to try to do that, and while they were doing that, the suspect phoned Lancaster County 911. That information was then shipped over to our Consolidated Dispatch Center, and we were informed that he made a declaration that if the state police didn't leave the property he would start shooting people within 10 seconds. Well, we grabbed a phone number. Our negotiator tried to call his cell phone at the same time as we were trying to disseminate the information to the troopers on the perimeter, and I mean within seconds he just started firing in rapid succession. So then they used the ballistic shields and they stormed the facility, but they couldn't get in the doors. They had to break in through the windows, and that's when they found him dead.
And how long did that?
He barricaded all the doors and the windows. How did the teacher get out?
Well, he let them out prior to finishing the barricade.
How long did it take for them to get in?
A matter of a minute or so. I mean, they broke all the windows. They did whatever they had to do. They were trying to find out where he was. I mean, they knew they had to get in there because he's shooting, but they didn't know where he was. And as they were breaking in, they found him on the floor. You had a question, sir?
Yes. How old was he? Who was he? Did he have his own children?
Date of birth? Yeah, his name was. I have that in front of me. Charles Carl Roberts. Carl Roberts.
Carl with a C.
Carl with a C. And he was 32 years of age. He was from Bart, Pennsylvania, which is here in Lancaster County.
Colonel, can you tell us more about the conversation between he and his wife and the suicide notes? Can you tell us a little bit more about what transpired in the conversation, what was in those notes?
What I can say about the notes is he was angry. He was angry with life. He was angry at God, things like that. He wrote the notes to the kids that he was angry, and that's what brought him to this point. I mean, the conversation with his wife was limited. He said, "The police are here. I'm not coming home." He made a couple other comments. The wife could not hear anything in the background. We believe at that point that the kids were just quietly standing there.
What kind of